The prison gate opened before sunrise. No ceremony. No one waiting. Just a guard handing him a small bundle and a folded paper with a red seal, and then the gate, and then the road, and then the pale morning sky stretching out in every direction like something he had forgotten was possible. "You're free to go." Free. The word felt wrong in his mouth. Like a coat that belonged to someone else. His name was Gabriel. He had gone into prison at 28. He walked out at 47. 19 years. He had counted them in the way that men count things when counting is the only thing they can control carefully, obsessively, marking each one as it passed like notches in wood. 1096 days the first 3 years. Then he stopped counting days. Then years. Then he stopped counting altogether, because counting implied an end and an end implied something waiting on the other side, and he had stopped believing in that. And now here it was. The other side. A cold road. A pale sky. And freedom that felt heavier than chains. He went first to the town he once called home. The streets were smaller than he remembered. Or perhaps he had become larger not in body, the years had taken from his body but in the space he occupied in his own mind. When the world is stone walls and iron doors for 19 years, the world outside becomes enormous in the imagination. A compensation. The mind building what the eyes cannot see. The real town was smaller than the imagined one. He walked through it like a stranger. Because he was. He knocked on the first door. A woman opened it. Young. He did not recognize her. She had been a child when he left, or perhaps not born at all. She looked at the paper in his hand with its red seal and at his face, and something shifted in her expression, the careful shift of someone reassessing a situation and deciding to end it quickly. "I'm sorry," she said. She closed the door. 3 more doors that day. One quickly, no words, just the door moving and the latch catching. One politely, a man who met his eyes and said he was sorry and meant it and closed it anyway. One through a crack, just a sliver of a face, one eye, the voice coming through the gap like the voice of someone who has calculated the exact width of opening required to speak without committing. By evening Gabriel sat at the edge of the town on a low stone wall and looked at the paper in his hands. Free to go. Somewhere. The sky was darkening. And somewhere in the town, as if the darkness had prompted it, a church bell rang. He sat and listened to it. Then he followed the sound. The church was small. Old stone, worn smooth in places by centuries of hands and weather. A wooden cross above the door, dark with age. Light still burned in the window. Gabriel stood in the doorway. Not entering. Not leaving, just standing in the threshold the way a man stands when he has been refused enough times that day that he is no longer sure he has the right to step through any door without being asked. A priest looked up from a table covered in papers and books and the general comfortable disorder of a man who reads more than he tidies. He looked at Gabriel. At the bag. At the paper. At the face of a man who had been told no 4 times since sunrise. "Come in," he said. Gabriel's jaw tightened. "I was in prison," he said. He said it the way he had learned to say it, flat, up front, before the warmth of welcome could make it worse to hear. A warning. "This is what I am. Now decide." The priest nodded once. "Then you must be tired," he said, and went to heat the soup. He asked almost nothing. This was the thing Gabriel could not get used to, the absence of questions. 19 years of being asked questions, all of them reducing him to what he had done and what he was and what threat he represented. The priest asked 3 things. "Are you hungry? Are you cold? Then sit." He gave him bread, soup, a place near the fire that was warm in the particular generous way of fires that have been burning long enough to have heated the stones around them. Then he went back to his books. As if Gabriel being there was the most ordinary thing. As if men arriving at his door with red-sealed papers and nowhere to go was simply part of the evening, to be accommodated the way you accommodate rain, without drama, without resentment, because it is what it is and here you are. Gabriel ate. He could not remember the last time food had tasted like food rather than fuel. He stared at the fire. He did not say thank you. He was out of practice with thank you. The priest showed him the small room off the side of the church. A bed. A rough blanket. A window that looked onto the churchyard, the old stone silvered by moonlight. "Sleep," the priest said. And left him. Gabriel lay on the bed in the dark and looked at the ceiling and felt the silence of the room, which was a different silence from the silence of a cell, the same absence of sound but with a different weight to it, a different quality, the silence of a place that was quiet by choice rather than by lock and key. He could not sleep. His body did not trust it. 19 years had made his body suspicious of comfort, trained it to find the danger in softness, to lie in wait for the thing that would arrive to take it away. He stared at the ceiling. After a long time he got up. He walked quietly into the main room of the church. The fire had burned low. The priest had gone to bed. The room was still and shadowed. On the table near the priest's study 2 silver candlesticks. Beautiful things. Old. The kind of silver work that takes skill and patience and a belief that the object being made will outlast the hands making it. They caught the light from the dying fire and held it, warm and steady. Gabriel stood and looked at them, and felt something wake in him that he had thought was dead. Not desire. Not greed, exactly. The old instinct. The one that had brought him here, not to this church, but to this life, to those 19 years, to that gate at dawn and that red-sealed paper. The reflex of a man who had learned young that the world did not give things to people like him, and so taking was simply the honest version of wanting. He stood there for a long time. Fighting it. Losing. Before dawn he put the candlesticks in his bag. And walked out into the cold. They caught him before noon. 2 soldiers, efficient and unsurprised, who had seen this before and had already decided what kind of man he was before he opened his mouth. They brought him back to the church with his bag and the silver inside it. He stood in front of the priest. He could not look up. The stone floor was very detailed. He studied it. "We found these on him," one soldier said. He was heading out the south road. A silence. Gabriel waited for it. The withdrawal of the previous night. The warmth reversing. The door closing, not physically, the door was open, but in the way that mattered. He had felt this before. He was ready for it. "Yes," the priest said. His voice was calm. "I gave them to him. Gabriel's head came up. The soldiers frowned. He said nothing about that. The priest smiled, not broadly, not with performance, just the small private smile of a man who finds the situation clear to him if not to everyone else. He must have forgotten. He walked to the table. He picked up the 2 remaining candlesticks. There were 4. Gabriel had not seen the other 2 in the dark, and he walked to Gabriel and placed them in his hands. His shaking hands. "You forgot these," he said. The soldiers looked at each other. Then at the priest. Then at Gabriel holding 4 silver candlesticks that he had definitely not been given. Then they left. Because there was nothing to do with the theft that the victim refused to be a victim of. The church door closed. The silence came back. Gabriel stood in it holding the silver and felt something he had no name for, something between terror and the specific dizziness of a man whose understanding of how the world works has just been removed from under him without warning. Why? Not a question. The word came out of him flat and stripped bare, the way words come when the mechanism that shapes them into sentences has stopped working. The priest looked at him. For a long moment he said nothing. He looked at Gabriel the way very few people had ever looked at him, not at the crime, not at the years, not at the red sealed paper or the bag or the instinct that had woken in the night. At the man underneath all of it. At whatever was still there. "Because you are worth more than these," he said. Gabriel's hands trembled. The candlesticks were heavy. "I stole from you," he said. "Yes. You should report me. They would take me back." "Yes." "Then why?" "Because," the priest said quietly, "the man who walked in last night hungry and cold and refused by everyone, that man was not the worst thing he had ever done." He paused. "You had already paid for that. 19 years. You paid." Gabriel stared at him. "That debt is settled," the priest said. "What you owe now is different." "What do I owe?" The priest looked at him steadily. "With this silver," he said, "I have bought your soul. Not for me. Not for this church." A pause. "For the man you could still become." The words landed in Gabriel slowly. Not all at once. The way large things land piece by piece, each one settling before the next arrives. "You don't know me," Gabriel said. His voice was barely there. "You don't know what I'm capable of." "No," the priest said. "But I know what you were capable of last night. You sat at my fire and ate my bread and slept in my room. And you could have left quietly, and perhaps you would not have been caught, and perhaps you would have gotten away with it." He paused. "But you came back to the doorway first. Before you left. I heard you." Gabriel went still. He had stood in the doorway. For a long time. He had not known anyone hurt. "You stood there," the priest said. "And then you left anyway. But you stood there." He held Gabriel's gaze. "That man, the one who stood in the doorway, he is the one I am speaking to." Gabriel left the church as the afternoon light was going gold. 4 candlesticks in his bag. He walked the south road. He did not know where he was going. He knew only that something had shifted, not fixed, not healed, not resolved into something clean and simple. Just shifted. Like a stone that has been in one position so long it has made an impression, and then is moved, and the impression remains, but the stone is somewhere else now. He stopped once and took out the candlesticks and looked at them. They caught the late light and held it. The man you could still become. He put them back. Kept walking. Years passed. People in the towns along the South Road spoke of a man who appeared when things needed doing. A roof after a storm. A family with nothing left after a fire. A child with nowhere to go, and a man who happened to know somewhere warm. He did not explain himself. He did not stay longer than was needed. He came and he worked and he left, and if you tried to thank him, he became uncomfortable in the specific way of people who do not think what they are doing requires thanks. Some people asked his name. Gabriel, he said. Some people asked where he was from. He thought about this every time. I'm not sure, he said. Which was true in the way that the most important things are true not literally, but accurately. He kept the candlesticks. 2 of them. The other 2 he gave away to a young priest in a town 3 days east who had almost nothing and whose church was cold and dark in the evenings, and who received them with the expression of a man who doesn't understand why things sometimes simply arrive. The 2 he kept were on his table. Every morning he looked at them. Not with guilt. Not with the weight of what they represented. With something quieter. A reminder. Not of what he had done. Of the man who had stood in the doorway. The one the priest had spoken to. The one who had turned out, against all reasonable expectation, to exist. He was old when he died. He did not die alone. The room was full not of family, he had no family left. Of people. The kind of people who gather when someone has touched their lives and they want to be present at the ending of it, not out of obligation but out of something that has no cleaner name than love. They found the 2 candlesticks on the table. They argued gently about what to do with them. In the end they gave them to the church. Not the church where it had happened, that was too far, and the priest was long dead. A local church. A young priest who did not know the story. They told him. He listened. Then he put the candlesticks on the table near the door. Where the light could find them. Where anyone coming in could see them. In case, he said, someone needs to remember.